Hello, it's Martin and welcome to another video on my Knit365 channel. Today is Monday the 5th of April and here in the UK it is a bank holiday. So we have a little bit of sun, hence I'm in a t-shirt. It's quite warm in the flat today. I've got a little pinky head. I caught the sun on Friday, standing in the park, would you believe? Bald people's problems, there we go. But I'm here to talk to you today about my March roundup. I've got some finished objects. I've got some works in progress. I have a little bit of sewing. I've got quite a lot of sewing actually. And some plans for the future. So I hope that you've got your current project, whether that's your knitting, your crochet, needlecraft, stitching, you get the idea. I hope you've got something to keep you entertained for the next 35, 40 minutes. I hope you've got a drink. I have some lemon squash. It's a bit early for the gin. So yeah, let's get straight into it. How have you all been? It's been a crazy few weeks here. I posted my video last week with the celebratory 1,000 subscribers and launched my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. We'll touch on that a little bit later on, but thank you so much for the wonderful reception that video got, and for all of you lovely people for commenting and entering yourself into the giveaway. So if you are a new viewer here and this is your first time watching me, hop back a video, check out the 1,000 subscribers and see how you can be in with a chance to win a couple of lovely prizes. If you are a returning viewer, welcome. As always, it's lovely to have you back. Thank you so much for being here and being part of my lovely little bit of YouTube, the Knit365 community that we're creating. So let's get straight into it. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It will be under an hour, but I've got a few things to show you. I've not got huge amounts. There's not a lot of finished objects, but let's get straight into it. So I always start my videos, as you know, with a declaration of my finished objects. And this month we have 15. We start with my finished objects. We start with works in progress. I'm not editing that out. You can see how my crazy mind works. We start with works in progress and I have 15. Oh, can you imagine if I had 15 finished objects? That would be a dream to be in April, but no. 15 works in progress, which is 2 up from last month. I did start a few of the things that I said I was going to do. I had a bit of a cast-on party, which we'll come on to in a little bit. I didn't cast on everything, you'll be pleased to know, because there were a couple of comments, and you are right, there's a lot of distraction. I think I like the planning and the starting more than the finishing, but it's been lovely to chat to lots of you in the comments on the last video, my February roundup, and I'm not alone. There are some of you with 20 plus works in progress. So I use you as my barometer for why 15 is a perfectly acceptable level. But I also take my hat off. There is quite a lot of you monogamous knitters, 1, maybe 2 projects max. I do take my hat off to you for pushing through and just focusing on 1 or 2 key things. So 15 works in progress. And as far as finished objects are concerned, bear with while I dress myself. I finished my gloves. So these are the Millet Mittens by Isolde Teague. And I said in my last video that I wanted to finish them, and I have. They are so warm, and of course, for this beautifully sunny bank holiday here in the UK, what do you need? Woolen mittens. But I absolutely love them. They were a kit by Isolde. I've just realised I don't have the wool band, so I'll pop the information on the screen for the wool that I used. It was sold by Isolde. This was a kit that I had from my parents as a Christmas gift. If I leave them on for a moment, you can see the beautiful crown shaping, this lovely design here at the top. And I've talked in previous videos, I'm a bit of a production knitter. So I like to work through things methodically. So I did the one glove, I did the second, and then I was going to do the thumbs at the same time. So finished both the thumbs. You can see the lovely flea stitch pattern continues through the mitten, across the thumb. This one's the better. I love this little V shaping that we have where you do the thumb increases, and the lovely little yellow motif that picks out the same motif in the body of the mitten. Slight design feature. We don't have flaws in knitting, do we? Or crochet, we have features. Spot the obvious mistake. This one is yellow in the center, and this one is yellow and white. I think they're meant to mirror the mittens, so I think they're meant to be yellow and white. So I think this one is correct. I don't know what I did. I've obviously forgotten 2 rounds before to switch back to the white. I only realized after I finished it, and I thought, I'm really not bothered to go back and undo it because it was fiddly. I talked before, it was on double pointed needles. So yeah, I'm gonna leave those as they are. I think I've got them on the right hands. There is a left mitten and a right mitten, and I think, I don't know. The pattern actually says they're great to grab and go if you are in a rush, that they just fit. But there is a left, I think I had them on the wrong hands. There is a left and a right. I think they do have a slight lean in them where the thumb shaping is. So maybe I'll use that as the wrong one is the left one. But I absolutely love the pattern. I knit it exclusively to the pattern. The only adaptation I made is, let me take this one off so I can start showing you properly. This flea stitch is a 2-round repeat. So you do the pattern with the white wool, and then it's a plain row. I added 2 rows in. So I did an extra flea stitch and an extra plain row before I started the colour work on the top, just to give it that tiny, tiny little bit of extra length, because I have slightly bigger hands than the pattern I think was written for. I've talked in previous videos, but if this is your first time seeing these mittens, it's got this lovely motif. So you start here with the this lovely little motif, and then you add on to do the ribbon, and then you actually turn it inside out. So you're knitting this on the inside, which enables you to have this lovely fold over cuff with this lovely pattern here that starts to mirror the sort of the fleur-de-lis crosses that come up into the body. And you can see it's lovely and stretchy. It's really, really snug. And for cold hands in the winter, these are going to be perfect. So it's still on our list to get to Scandinavia again. We were very lucky to go to Copenhagen in 2018, I think. That probably sounds about right. And said that we would love to go back and also go to Stockholm. And then obviously the coronavirus has hit and we've not traveled anywhere. So these are definitely going to come with me when we get to Scandinavia. I want to go to Oslo and go to all of the knitting hats. I want to go to Stockholm. I want to go back to Copenhagen. I just love that whole Nordic way of life. So I'm very much looking forward to using these on a wintry holiday, and of course on a cold winter's day here in the UK. I didn't plan this very well because I was going to show you that how much wool I had left over. I didn't have the button band. I don't have the wool. I've got a lot of other stuff here. But I have enough. I don't have enough of the navy, the main colour, to do another glove. But if I invert the colours, I've got enough wool left over from the yellow and the white that I could actually invert the colours and I could make a whole nother pair, I think. The kit gives you the pattern and one ball each of the yellow, the cream and the navy. So I could make another pair, and it was such a quick pattern. Once you've finished the little bit of the colour work on the cuff, this fleece stitch section just flies off and similarly, so does this. So I would definitely recommend it. I am obsessed with this fleece stitch pattern. I think it just looks incredible, if I do say so myself. And I'm really pleased with my tension. I did these using two-handed Fair Isle. So I used a small circumference needle and then I switched to double points on the crown. But I had my main colour in my right hand and my contrast colour in my left. I am an English style knitter, so I'm a thrower with my right hand. And I've always done my colour work one-handed, using both colours in my right hand. I've never been able to get my tension properly sorted out by doing the two-handed, and I've never really had enough patience to work through a project, which I've done in this. So as I said, if I do say so myself, my tension looks pretty even. So a great pattern, and if that's something that you're interested in terms of an easy colour work pattern, don't get me wrong, some of this is a little bit fiddly, especially up here with the double points. But you know, if you're keen to learn a new technique, to try something out, I would absolutely recommend gloves, cowls. Small projects are brilliant to try new skills, and I firmly believe you're never too old or experienced to learn something new. So for me, this was a great pattern to be able to practice my two-handed Fair Isle. So I'm very, very pleased with my millet mittens. So that is a finished object. The next finished object, I've agreed now in all of the previous videos, we're definitely calling these finished objects. So I have another 2 finished objects where I have done this month's baubles. So again, if you've watched my videos from January to date, you'll know I'm doing the Arne and Carlos bauble along. So we now have 6 baubles. My pile is growing. Mark wanted baubles for the flat. So we have some wool. You can see they're non-traditional colours. We have this meant to be yellow, but we've got this kind of mustardy colour, cream, teal and grey, which matches the decorations in the flat. You can see the teal and yellow footstools there. I am using the wool recommended in the pattern. This is the Rowan Alpaca Soft DK, and these are living in my little grey girl bag from the lovely Gem. It's the London edition. So this is the large bag, and they all just about fit in there. So this month's baubles have been finished. So we have, I'm not so impressed with this one. Mark chose the colours, nothing wrong with his colour choices, but this blue teal is meant to be a heart, which you can kind of see the heart motif, but where the Fair Isle is here with the grey, it kind of muddies the shape a little. So I wasn't ripping it back. It's a bauble that's going to sit on the tree for 3 weeks of the year. So I'm fine with it, but of all the ones I've done so far, this is probably my least favourite. And then we've got this lovely little cream on the top. And then the other bauble, it's an ice skate. You can kind of see there's the boot, the actual skate itself, and then the little hook over on the beginning. So you can see that it's an ice skate. I quite like the colour choice on this one. I think it's quite nice. The white really stands out against the grey background. And for those of you that have seen the earlier videos, I talk about it's really fiddly to begin. You cast on 12 stitches across 4 double pointed needles, and then you join in the round. It's incredibly fiddly. So I found my technique now here where you can see there's a bit of a gap. So what I've been doing is casting on one needle, knitting 3 rounds just on one needle. So I'm obviously reversing some of the stitches, because when you knit in the round, to get this flat stocking stitch effect, you just knit every stitch. Whereas obviously to get stocking stitch on flat needles, to go back and forth, you knit a row, purl a row. So I'm switching that around. So I am purling 2 rows to make sure that I still get this stocking stitch. And then I'm joining in the round. I find it a lot easier because I've got a little bit of material to make sure I'm not twisted. And and you won't see it because the pattern then has you steam these flat, and then you stuff them. I think you sew the bottoms together, then you stuff from the top. Again, production knitter, I'll sort all of this out, and there'll probably be a video on the finishing techniques for all of the baubles later on in the year. But what I've done is I'm happy with this little hole, and you can see, can you see? You can kind of make out where there's the little gap there where I haven't joined in the round. So I'll just sew it together, and you'll never know. But again, I think it's a useful thing to point out to people that, like certainly there's no such thing as the knitting police. I remember being told that quite early on in my knitting journey when I sort of was talking to fellow knitters and saying, well, the pattern tells me to do this. Can I do that? And they're like, you can do what you want. There isn't such thing as the knitting police. You know, Arne and Carlos are probably not going to knock on my door and say, you didn't join in the round from round one. It would be brilliant if Arne and Carlos did knock on my door. They could come in for a cup of tea. But no, so I'll just work out how to close that off. But I think it's completely less stress. When I did the first couple, I nearly threw them across the room. So fiddly, didn't enjoy it. So I found my way with these now. So we now have 6 baubles. So I am claiming these as 6 finished objects. There is one school of thought that says it's 24 baubles, so I can claim it as 1 finished object when I finish all 24. But I'm not in that school of thought. I have 6 finished objects here. So with these 6 and my gloves, that gives me 7 finished objects. And I think if I look back through my notes, I then had my 2 Flax Light sweaters. If you pop back to January, you want to see those. I made 2 little jumpers for our nieces. So I'm on 9 finished objects year to date, which that's all right. I'm quite chuffed with that. I've got some bigger projects on the go that they're not nearly finished, but they will be finished by the summer. So I'm feeling good. I did 20 last year, 20 or 21. So I'm nearly halfway to my total. I'm fudging the figures, but it's fine. They're my figures, so I can fudge them. So there we go. There are my baubles. Very much loving my little evening or my non-working Monday when I just sit there and just work on something really small, and it is actually quite soothing. So that's my finished objects. So let's move on to works in progress. I'll touch on my Babette blanket very briefly because I'm going to do a separate video for the Babette in 2 weeks' time. I don't love my Babette blanket. We've talked in previous videos about the Babette blanket. I'll pop a picture on screen just so you can see the overall pattern. It's multicolored, multi-size squares. I'm using some Rowan felted tweed that I have in my stash. And this is what I've done so far. This is one of the sections. I don't know if it's me. It probably is a little bit of me being a knitter who crochets, as well as the wool not being the greatest for the pattern, because it's really fibery, and quite rustic. So I have done this one section with my random diving in the bag, picking out a colour, so that we've got a mix of these sort of blues, greys, a little bit of brown, flash of pink, but I don't love it. And I'll do a separate video on it because I'm contemplating following the broad pattern in as much as I have multicolours and lots of different sizes. But I think I'm going to switch to grannies. I am a little bit of a perfectionist. There's a mistake in every project, as I just mentioned on the thumbs. For example, I always manage to make a mistake in something. I know they're there. Mark doesn't know they're there. You probably won't know they're there unless I point them out to you. So I think to that regard, I don't hold myself up to like this really high standard. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. If I can live with it, I'll carry on. If I can't, I'll rip it out and fix it. But I think to that regard, I don't hold myself up to like this really high standard. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. If I can live with it, I'll carry on. If I can live with it, I'll carry on. If I can live with it, I'll carry on. If I can't, I'll rip it out and fix it. But I don't really like this, and I wondered if the perfectionist in me doesn't like the fact that they're slightly different sizes. Like this one, I followed the pattern and I've made this one twice, but for some reason this one is bigger than this one. And they're a little bit twisted, and I know I can block them, but there's literally hundreds of these squares, and I don't know if I can be bothered to block them all. It's a lot of work to make them all nice and lie flat, and I think Granny's will be a little bit more neater joined up. So I quite like that idea. I have swatched, so I've got 3 different sizes. I think that one's too loosey-goosey. That was done on a 4.5mm. This was done on a 3.5mm, and this one was done on a 3mm. So I'm toying with a few different ideas, but I'll talk about this in a bit more detail in another video. But I wanted to mention it because you might be sitting there thinking, he hasn't made much this month, but I have been faffing quite a lot with my Babette. So more on that in a couple of weeks' time. Then the other project that I said I was going to start, which I have started, is the Pathway scarf. Pathway, by Kerry Lord of Toft. So this is a mosaic knitting. So you start in one colour, you do the mosaic knitting, which is easy colour work because you slip the stitches for the colours that you're not using. So there's no carrying the floats. It's a really clever colourway technique. Introduce the second colour and then you finish in just the second colour. So I'm doing this for Mark. He asked me if I could make it. I said, yes, I can. And I've started it, and this has been brilliant. It's been my mindless project. So here we have progress. So I'm working this in the coral pink colour, and I'm on row 33, I think, of 40. Before I then start the mosaic. It's been the perfect mindless knitting project. It's all knit stitch. So knit flat as a knit stitch, you get this lovely garter stitch fabric, and it is bunched up. Mark did look at it and went, that's not going to be long enough to be a scarf. I said, yeah, it will. Don't forget, it's all bunched up, you know, it's got to stretch out and all that. But this was over 300 stitches to cast on, and then each row takes me between 15 and 20 minutes. So it's perfect TV knitting. It's knit every stitch. I can do it without looking. So I'm loving this. So I should hopefully have this in the next week or so. I'll finish the pink and then we'll start the mosaic. I always talk about what I've topped my stash up with. Any new purchases that have come into the house. The only thing that we've had a new purchase on this month is this shale wool by Toft. I showed off the wool for this project last month, and I showed you the lovely coral with a cream. I did order the cream, and I misinterpreted Mark's instructions, and he didn't want it pink and cream. He wanted it pink and grey. I actually do think he's right. The grey and the pink do work really well together. So I had to I had to order some grey wool. So we've got 2 balls of this that have made their way into the flat this month. So this does cover off the stash top-up section now. I don't need to do that later. And that will be the contrast colour on the mosaic. I'll find something to do with the cream. The Toft wool is so lovely. It's 100% wool. It's so lovely and soft, and it's really nice to knit with. This is my second knit project, I think. It knits up really well, really squishy. So I'll find something to make with the cream wool that I've got. So I'm not worried about that. But that was great progress. It's been the perfect little mindless project. So I will keep you posted with this one. This is also living in a bag by Gem of the Little Grey Girl, as you know, big fan. This is one of Gem's luxury velvet bags. You just want to keep stroking it. In grey, and this is actually not this bag, this is my bag. I have another one of these that Gem has kindly gifted for the 1,000 follower giveaway. So you too can be in with a chance of winning a bag that you can stroke. So that's that one. And then the other work in progress for this month, I am obsessed with this. Just dropped my baubles. This is also living in a little grey girl bag. This is my extra large multicoloured rainbow. And in this bag, I've got all of the wool, all of the skeins. I've also got the book with the pattern. I am making the Argyle sweater by Martin Story. I don't know if I can get this out of the bag because of the bird's nest. If you want to know more about the bird's nest, please feel free to pop back to the end of March video, end of February video, I think, where I talk about how I do my intarsia, and the bird's nest will be explained. But I am obsessed with this. Are you ready? Da, 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 da. Look at that. So this has taken me quite a long time this month. I have done the ribbon, and I've started the colour work. So this is half of the pattern repeat. So the pattern repeat is effectively, say, this grey diamond, and then there will be a cream diamond on top. That's one pattern repeat. I think for the pattern, I need to do 5.5 repeats for the back, and it's 4 repeats for the front, and then I split to make the V-neck. And that's it then. There's no sleeves. It's a V-neck short sleeve jumper. So I'm not making too bad progress. And actually, now I'm into the cycle of the pattern, I'm not needing to look at the pattern as much because it is quite intuitive. You know, I'm on the cream section, so the cream section needs to decrease by 2 stitches each time I come back. And then this grey stitch here moves over 1 stitch. So you can get into a bit of a rhythm. I'm not gonna lie, it takes me half an hour to row at the moment, 25 minutes. But I am just obsessed with it. I would be quicker if I didn't knit a row, stop, look at it and go, isn't that nice? I keep doing this all the time. And then I knit another row. And then I stop and I'll get bored of it in a while, I'm sure. But I love it. I had this wool, I think I said in previous videos, I've had this wool for 5 years. I've always been a bit gung-ho. I see a pattern, I'm happy to just do that pattern. I don't mind if I have never done that technique before, if it scares me, I kind of just jump in. Worst can happen, I make a mistake and I rip it back. But with this one, Mark bought the wool himself and it is glorious. It's a merino alpaca silk. It is so soft and squishy. But I kind of worried that I would plow on and I would ruin the wool if I did make a mistake. It's a little bit sticky, the wool. And I was worried if I had to undo it, would I ruin the wool? So I did kind of put it off for years. I got a bit afraid, but I'm so glad I've cast this on now. I am absolutely loving the way this is working. I think the 3 colours, the dark grey here you can make out is nice and subtle against the light grey and a really lovely contrast against the cream. If I show you the back, excuse all the hanging threads. Obviously that's where I'm doing my intarsia, but what you will be able to see is almost the inverse of the pattern. This is the thing I love about intarsia. So it's simple colour work in as much as it's not like a Fair Isle stranded technique where you have the floats in between all of the colours, because you effectively drop this colour here and then you pick this colour up. you get this inverted pattern that appears on the inside, and obviously I'll sew my ends in, but if I lift those out of the way, actually you can see that a lot clearer. So I love how the pattern inverts itself on the reverse. So I'm obsessed with this. I will do a little bit more on this later on. I've actually found the brain space to finish work and pick this up. I've been that obsessed with it. I've said in previous videos, I didn't do a lot last month, I don't think, to my usual standard, because work was very, very busy. And I kind of came home and I didn't have anything that I wanted to work on, which is why I started the pink scarf example, because it was the perfect garter stitch project to finish work and just do a couple of mindless rounds. But when I reached a point on this one, I just became obsessed with it, and I was coming home from work excited to knit. So yeah, I hope you like it as much as I do. Mark loves it, which is the most important thing. It is a jumper for him. It's a bit fiddly, but I'm absolutely getting there. So I'm hoping I'm gonna really try and do some good work on this throughout the next month. And I'm really hoping that by the time you see it, I will have at least finished the repeat. If not, a stretch goal will be to have finished the first repeat and done the second repeat. I think that's possible. If I do a little bit every day on this, I think that is entirely possible. So this is going to be one of my main makes for April. I'm really keen to make some progress on this. And also it's a short sleeve jumper, so it will be perfect that I can do it now, and then for some colder UK days, because let's be fair, we don't have a proper summer, Mark can get a lot of use out of this year. He doesn't need to wait for the winter. So that is, there's stuff everywhere. I keep knocking things. So that's most of my knitting and crochet for the month. It's been a busy old month, work-wise. I've done lots of things. I'm quite pleased with my progress. When I was sitting down, I make a little list of things to talk to you about, and I actually had more on my list than I thought I was going to have. So for this month, I'm going to continue with my Argyle sweater. I'm going to continue with the pathway scarf, and hopefully start the mosaic. Although that's going to need a lot of concentration, because it's a 12 stitch repeat, and obviously I'm over 300 stitches, so I have to like knit 2, slip 2, knit 2, knit 5, slip. I've got to try and remember the 12 stitch pattern to then keep repeating it, so I'm going to have to concentrate. So at some point that one's probably going to end up languishing, isn't it? Let's be fair, based on my standards. Things get complicated and I seem to put them off and pick up something else. So I'm going to work on those two. I'm going to make more progress on my Babette blanket, because I think once that's set and I'm clear in my head as to how that's going to look, I can continue to just dive into the bag, and I can just whip up a couple of squares every so often. And I want to finish my Beauceron sweater. I haven't done anything on that since you saw it last. I finished the yoke. Obviously I just need to knit the body. So I've not picked that up. That hasn't grown at all, which is why I don't have it to show you today. So I think with my scarf, Mark's jumper and my jumper, that will keep me more than busy throughout April. So let's move on to sewing and what I've been up to. And I've had a bit of a sewing frenzy. So thank you very much, firstly, for all of your lovely comments about my sewing. Lots of you gave me some tips about some of the t-shirts that I want to make, different types of needles. Who knew that there would be a jersey needle to sew that pierces the wool, pierces the fabric in a different way. So thank you for that. I've got those needles on order. So I've not made my t-shirts, but I talked last month about stuff for my nieces. And I finished my unicorn set, so I just thought I would quickly show this off. So these are the unicorn curtains that I've made for my mum's spare room, which is where my nieces will sleep when they sleep over. So we have our unicorn curtains with eyelets, and I love this material. Niece 1 is 6, going on 16. very sassy. So she chose the material. She wanted pink unicorns. So she's got that. Curtains are fully lined. So you stitch them down the 3 sides, then turn them inside out, and then sew the bottom. So they're fully lined. Lovely little, I think, a neat join. So we have the curtains that I made for the spare room. And then niece 1 then said, could I have matching bedding? Of course you can. So I've done the bedding. The bedding's not quite finished. I've done the pillowcase. So worked out how to do, obviously very simple. You have the fold over for the pillow. I followed a pattern on YouTube, and if I'm honest, this fold over bit, it's how they do it in the pattern, but the pillows my mum's got are slightly thicker pillows. So I would probably double this length if I was doing it again to make a more secure pocket. But we have pink unicorns and we have grey unicorns. So yeah, I was asked if they could be reversible because I found the pink. When she said she wanted pink unicorns, I sent her the pink. And they also had a grey unicorn. And I sent her the grey one. I said, which one do you like? She said, I like both. Can they be reversible? So there's the pillowcase. And I've done the same with a reversible duvet set. So grey on one side and pink on the other. The duvets then have the closing on the bottom. I just need to finish these closings off. So there's a lovely little hem here, and then there will be the little pocket that the duvet sits in. Obviously I'm showing you this upside down. It's a bit big to show, but that's the little pocket that the duvet will sit in. So there will be buttonholes. I was going to put poppers on these, and you can see, actually I have put a popper on. I thought poppers on the duvet would be quite straightforward. But I don't like the fact that on the outside of the popper, you can see a little bit of thread where I've sewn it. And the poppers are really tight. And what I'm worried about is this is a really light cotton. And when you pop them and then pull it open, it pulls on the fabric. And I'm worried that it will rip the fabric. So I've ordered some pink buttons. And this week's task when they arrive is to learn how to do buttonholes. My sewing machine has a buttonhole attachment. So I've read the instructions. I think I'm ready to go. So I'll get a bit of practice fabric to start with. So I just need to put buttonholes on the bottom of these, and then they can go to my mum's. So I thought while they were still here, cluttering up the spare room, it was an opportune moment as I was filming to show you what I'm up to. Or what I've been up to, I could show you my sewing attempts. So that's the duvet. And I had more material left over. So I've made a drawstring bag, obviously reversible again, grey and pink. And I thought they could have these. So I've made 2 of these. So one for niece 1, one for niece 2. Very simple drawstring bag that they can put their pajamas in maybe. So they go to my mum's little pajama bag. I've got some little label tags. For those of you that saw this when I posted it on Instagram, my cousin has a sort of a label maker type machine, and she's made tags with the niece's names on them. So they can have one of these each. The bit I'm really chuffed with this is I was trying to work out how much ribbon I needed, and I had long lengths of fabric left where I cut off the selvage edge before I made the duvet. So I actually made my own ribbon drawstring. I've seen this on Sewing Bee, where you make like a halter neck type top, and you make your own edging. You can tell I'm not a sewer. I'm a knitter who now can sew a little bit. So one of you out there will know what I mean by what I've made here. But this was basically double the width, and I right sides together. I then stitched down the edge, and then I used a chopstick to shove in the end, and I turned the whole thing inside out, and voila, we have ribbons. So there are grey ribbons and pink ribbons, which you can use easily on the drawstring bag. So they can pop their pajamas in, and then using the ribbons that I made, they can tie them up nice and securely. So yeah, I don't know what that technique is called, but I've seen people on Sewing Bee like flicking things to turn them inside out and make edgings, ribbons, whatever you want to call it. So I've made those. Very, very pleased with myself. And I've learned some new skill. So the next step for my sewing is going to be having to go to some t-shirts. I'm hoping to take a week off work at the end of April. So I might dedicate one of my days off to trying to make a garment for the first time. I kind of feel a bit more confident with my machine now. I've made my bags, I've made my duvet cover, that's the third pair of curtains I've made. So I'm going to try the children's t-shirts. But that all told, that is everything I've done for March, which it wasn't a huge amount of knitting, not by my usual standard anyway, but I then forget that I did spend 3 days doing the duvet, because obviously I've got 2 duvets, one for each of the nieces, 2 lots of pillows, the curtains, the bags. So I've done a lot of sewing, as well as the other things I've been working on. So that's everything that I've been up to for March. I would love to know what you think about the projects that I've been working on. Please, as always, get in touch, leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. Also, any of the projects that I've got coming up, please, any hints and tips, as always, they are gratefully received. So the final thing before I wrap up is just a reminder about the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. As I said before, amazing, blows my mind. Thank you very much. All of the thanks and the gratitude for you all being here and subscribing to my channel. If you watched the video before this one, it is the 1,000 giveaway. So there is the velvet bag and there's a Notions kit up for grabs by Gem of the Little Grey Girl. That's prize 1. And prize 2 is the Rent kit by Lady Di Yarns. All you need to do to be in with a shout to win that is leave me a comment on that video. You can just say hi. You can leave me a comment about what you'd like to see in future videos, some amazing suggestions. And I've started to do a little bit of planning between now and the end of the year. Lots of you like the Vlogtober West Knit shawl along. Lots of you asked to do the Christmas Vlogmas series again. Lots of requests to get out and about around Cardiff. I'm thinking of a kind of local yarn shop tour. I've got 2 or 3 yarn shops within a vicinity of me that aren't too far to get to. So I'm thinking about we'll maybe have a day trip out and we'll be able to film, hopefully, in some of the yarn shops, and I can bring those yarn shops to you. So some really great ideas already received. So please hop along to that video and leave me a comment if you want to be in with a chance of winning one of those amazing prizes. And that's probably it. As I said a bit earlier on, I'm going to be up again in a couple of weeks' time with a video on my Babette blanket, where I will talk a little bit more about tension, yarn choices, how yarns don't always work with the pattern as intended. So hopefully that will be one that interests you, and for the crocheters out there, a bit of a crochet focus. So stay tuned for that in a couple of weeks' time. You'll have seen at the beginning of this video, as I said before, I have started to put some adverts on some of my videos now. Also, 30% of any ad revenue that I get is going to go to Big Moose, who are a not-for-profit charity supporting men's mental health, suicide prevention, and homelessness. So amazing cause. I love the folks at Big Moose. Cannot wait for them to get open in lockdown again in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully, and I can get out for some knitting, coffee and cake. So if you do if you have watched some of the adverts, then thank you. Please know that some of that revenue is going to help some great causes. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. If you were a new viewer and you're still here, hopefully you've enjoyed what you've seen. Please give us a like, thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but it helps me to grow my community. As always, if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for sticking around and being with me again. I really do appreciate everybody's love and support. It is great to be growing this little community. I'm up to date with all of the comments, apart from on the 1,000 giveaway. I need to work out if I'm going to be able to reply to every one of those. There's a lot. But I'm up to date on all comments on the other videos. So please get commenting below, give me some work to do, let me get chatting to you all. If you're on Instagram or Twitter as well, please come and find me, tag me in your project so I can see what you're up to. I really love seeing and the other side of it, because obviously you're sitting here watching me, but I can't watch you. Oh, unless you've got a YouTube channel. If you're a YouTuber as well, leave me your details below so I can come along and watch some of your videos if you don't know if I subscribe to you. Some of you know that I subscribe. If you don't know that I subscribe to you, leave me your details. You get the point. So yeah, if you did come back, thank you very much again. And I will leave it there now. So thank you very much for joining me. I will see you all in a couple of weeks. And until we speak again, happy crafting.